Welcome to the Funny Travel Stories podcast. I'm your host, Yiping Bao. Funny travel moments make a trip memorable, but have you ever thought that your most awkward experience, or even a secondhand embarrassment you felt, might have happened to others as well? Loads unplanned, unexpected things that happened on your holiday can still have you giggling in the middle of the night. Each episode, you will hear my guests share funny travel stories, recommend places they have visited, and tell us about places they can't wait to visit. Yeah, so on today's episode, I'm joined by Issy Brand. She's an assistant producer at Virgin Radio. Issy, would you mind briefly introduce about yourself to me and the listeners?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Izzy. I just moved down to London. I freelance at Virgin Radio as well as a couple of other radio stations. I host a couple of podcasts as well, and I'm very excited to be here.
Because the time we are recording right now is approaching Christmas. If I'm wondering if you have any, are you traveling during Christmas, or if you have any plans?
Well, all of my family are up north, but they're coming to me because it's my birthday on the 3 days after Christmas, and I wanted to celebrate it in London. So I'm going up to Newcastle for a day to see family, and then everyone's coming back down to London with me.
Right, that sounds lovely. I know, like we follow each other on Instagram, and then I think also LinkedIn. And I believe this is our first proper chat, as I remember the first time I met you was in the networking event, or possibly Student Radio Awards, when you went with Shock Radio. You also did host several categories with, is it Matt, your
Yeah, so
representative?
me and Matt graduated this summer just gone, but we both hosted Drive Time and Breakfast on Shock Radio, where we got a couple of awards, and it was really good because we bounced off each other, and I feel like we learnt a lot from each other, which was mutually beneficial.
Right. And I know that you recently went to Australia. I follow your post. You went to 4 cities in 1 week.
Yeah, so across 8 days, I went to Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. I did 2 days in each, and just packed in as much as I could. And I flew on Friday and arrived on the Saturday, and then flew out the Saturday after. So it was quite intense, but an amazing experience.
Sounds nice. I never been to Australia, but I remember I saw one of your photos. You were with quokka in Perth. Quokka, that was
Yeah,
so cute.
so cute. I didn't know about quokkas until someone heard that I was going and recommended them, and they're apparently the world's happiest creature. They're like these little marsupials, and they just have a gorgeous essence, and they're smiley and they're happy. They're only found on this island just off of Perth called Rottnest Island, and it's a nature reserve, so they're just all over the island. You can just go and see them, and it was just incredible to see them in person.
Do you see koalas as well?
Yeah, so in Melbourne we visited like an animal sanctuary, and we got to go and help feed the koalas, and there was two grown-up koalas and one baby one, and just to be so close and in such an intimate environment was such an incredible experience. And they're so soft, and I found out that because they obviously sit on trees all day, on the bottom of their bums they don't have any nerve endings, so you can stroke them and they can't really feel it, and it doesn't hurt them or bother them because they're just so used to sitting on the bums that they don't feel it.
Because my impression of koalas, sometimes they're sleeping on a tree, or like they like to climb in a tree. Is that real in reality? Like you always on a tree, or like a bit lazy or
Yeah, so
sleepy?
they've got really sharp sort of claws, and so you weren't allowed to sort of let them come up close to you in case they thought you were a tree and started climbing you. But they've got really strong grip, and yeah, a lot of the time they were up on branches.
I imagine you've been to many places, or like not only in the UK, or like travel abroad. I'm wondering if you have any funny travel experiences you want to share with me and the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play football at quite a high standard as a kid, and through that I got to travel the world and go to loads of tournaments abroad and stuff. And I remember the first major one, I went to America with my team, the team I was playing for at the time. And I'm a goalkeeper, so you have to be able to dive about and, jump and stuff. And we landed a couple of days before the first game, and I decided to go skateboarding. Never skateboarded before in my life. And of course, with no experience and questionable balance, I fell off it straight away and cut open all of my leg. And then for the rest of the football tournament, which was the reason I was there, I had to pretend I wasn't injured. And I probably let in quite a lot of goals that I shouldn't have, just because I was in so much pain from the bad decision of going skateboarding 2 days before my debut.
No, that sounds really painful. You were injured at the time, but were you like taking care of your wounds afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I had to like treat it and put cream all over the grazes and stuff, but I didn't want them to think that I wasn't taking the football seriously, so I just pretended it was fine and carried on playing, which in hindsight was not the best decision.
Right. Do you still play football nowadays?
Yeah, I do. I play for Hammersmith FC, who are in tier six of the women's football period, and we haven't lost a game all season, so we're doing pretty good.
I found it fascinating. You also played football, and then the Australia trip. I feel that's cool because actually recently I went solo traveling, and I feel like the fact you can manage to put four cities in 1 week, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the primary reason for me going initially was because one of my favourite bands were touring around Australia and they announced that they were doing 4 dates across the 4 cities that I went to, so Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. So I knew that I really wanted to go to all of them because I love music and I love seeing them live. They're just a fantastic band live. And I thought it's a great way to cover a lot of ground and also be motivated to do things quickly because I think sometimes like it'd be quite easy if you were going for a long time to arrive and then sleep for a day to catch up with the jet lag and stuff. But I didn't really have a chance to do that because it was just so jam-packed, one thing after another. So I arrived at 5 p.m. on the Friday and I went straight to a gig that evening. Someone else I went to see Tim Minchin. And then the next day I went to Rottnest Island and saw the Quokkas. The day after that I saw the first gig of the band that I like. And it was just non-stop, which was fantastic because you didn't have any time to waste.
Yeah, and you also went to beaches. The weather was so nice.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like it's so nice to be able to go somewhere like leave London where it was -2 degrees and get on a plane at Heathrow and arrive in like gorgeous summer sun in Australia. So I went to a couple of beaches. I went to one in Perth called Cottesloe, which was just beautiful, really small but really nice atmosphere. And then obviously Bondi's been in the news quite a lot because of the horrible incident that's happened. But we got to go there as well, and the waves and the beach itself was beautiful. The sand was so soft on your feet, and it was just a really nice atmosphere.
Right. And you just share one of your funny travel experiences. I'm just wondering if you have any other like amusing, funny moments during traveling.
The one that comes to mind of recent times was more traumatic than funny, but funny in hindsight. So I was meant to go to Mexico about a week before I went to Australia, and I was doing a 24-hour trip. I was going to this festival, I was going to see loads of bands that I loved, and I was going to arrive, I think, at like 6 a.m. on the Friday morning. The festival was all day Friday, and then I was flying back on Saturday morning. And so I went to Heathrow. I had my passport, I had my boarding pass, everything. Because I was only going for 24 hours, I didn't bother taking a bag. So I had my boarding pass on my phone, went straight through. And I got to the gate, and obviously you board about half hour before you fly. So I stood queuing up, and I got to the gate, and they went, "You can't come on the plane." And I went, "Why can't I come on the plane?" They went, "Because your name on the passport doesn't match your name on the boarding pass." And obviously, I go by Izzy, but formally that's Isabella. So my passport says my full name, which is Isabella, and the boarding pass said Izzy, and they just wouldn't let me on the flight. I tried everything. I tried going playing the sympathy card. I tried going, I really need to get there, and they just wouldn't let me on, and they wouldn't change it. So I then had to go back out the airport, which for people that do travel, you'll know that once you arrive at an airport, you have to go through passport control once you're in the airport. And because I'd already checked in and I was in the airport, I had to go back through passport control where they went, "Oh, where have you arrived from?" And I had to describe and explain the fact that I hadn't arrived from anywhere. I'd been in the country the whole time and they just hadn't let me leave.
So you didn't go to Mexico.
No, so I didn't get there because I was only going for this festival and the next flight out that I could have booked wouldn't have got me there in time for the festival. So I didn't get there.
I feel like very unfortunately, like you could not really travel like, as you planned. I could feel a bit related, like because I'm originally from Taiwan. My legal name on passport is like Yiping Bao, and then actually I keep using like Belinda Bao, Belinda. But I feel it's easy to pronounce. Like for people, like, Belinda just easier. And then there's a time my boyfriend just say, "Oh, why you keep using Belinda? That's not your real name." So that's the time I start changing like to Yiping Bao, Yiping Bao. But I feel like yeah, the boarding pass. Luckily, I did notice I have to put legal name on my boarding pass. But I do remember like when I was booking hotel, like having credit cards, I did put Belinda. I think That was a mistake I made.
Yeah, and it's such an easy mistake to make. And mine was because I don't know what phone you've got, but my phone auto fills in my name when I like fill in a form. And when I'd booked it on my phone and it had just auto filled in Izzy. And of course I know that it has to match, but you know, when you don't double check and then you go, oh dear, it's quite a big mistake and now I'm stuck.
I'm just out of curiosity, when you travel to Australia, your boarding pass is a
Yeah,
bit.
after Mexico, when I was in Australia, I think I flew like maybe had 6 or 7 flights across the week, and I meticulously went through everyone. And I went, make sure that says Isabella, make sure that says Isabella, make sure that says Isabella, and there weren't any issues. But it was just one of those where it's like, my mistake.
I feel like when I talk to all these amazing guests, I feel it's also the process of learning. I learn, well, actually, these countries, they have this kind of stuff. And the way you describe Australia was also amazing, brilliant. So I feel especially that, is it quokka again? That
Yeah, it's Quokka, a quokka. I'd never heard of them before until someone went, "Oh, if you're going to Perth, you should check out the quokkas." And I'm so glad that I did. And it's such a massive tourist thing over there because it's so unique to that area. And the island, Rottnest Island, that they're on, you get a ferry across and you can hire bikes, you can just walk around the island, and it's massive. But there was loads on there. I saw a poisonous snake, I saw birds that I'd never seen before in my life. Yeah, the whole week in Australia was just life changing.
So as you mentioned, you went there for concerts. Do you like travel to specific countries because of gigs or festivals?
Yeah, I love music, and I work in a music-based industry, so for me, it's a good excuse to travel. I think I'm a bit boring and I don't like to travel for the sake of traveling, but if there's like a motivation to go, whether it's football or gigs, and then I can tie in the travel touristy side with it, it really helps. So, you know, I've been to gigs across Europe. I went to a festival in Abu Dhabi. I was trying to go to Mexico, but didn't quite make it. Me and my boyfriend are looking at going to Benicassim in Spain. And I think there's just such a nice element of music abroad because you meet people that have really similar interests. Obviously, they're there to see the same bands and artists, but from such different cultures and such different backgrounds. And that's the thing that I like about, you know, radio and audio and podcasting. You meet and get to experience so many different people's lives from the comfort of a studio or your home, and it's just magical.
Now you are using your microphone, but when you talk, you speak in front of the microphone, you're speaking to like around the world or like different backgrounds of people. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
and you don't know whose life it's going to touch. Like, even if it's something silly and someone just needs a smile, it's nice to know that there's a chance you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have any other funny travel experiences.
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm really fortunate in that I get to travel for gigs loads. I don't think I spend money frivolously on like alcohol or going out all the time or doing stuff. I'd rather save it for trips and doing stuff like that. And a couple of years ago, maybe just before COVID, I got to go to Hamburg, in Germany for a gig. And it was at a place, an iconic venue called the Mojo Club. And we Google mapped it and we arrived there. And we were just like on this land of concrete and there was no buildings or anything. And we were going, this is so weird because the maps say that we're here and it says we're right on top of where we should be. And we were walking around for ages trying to find people to ask, going, do you know where this place is? And maybe the gig was, say, due to start at 7 and at 6. This metal plate sort of rose from the ground and it was underground and no one had, like, we couldn't find the information that it was underground anywhere, so we were just walking around for ages. But then this like metal plaque on the floor lifted up and it revealed these staircases down into a bunker, and it was a tiny venue, maybe like a couple of hundred people, but it was so cool because it was underground. And I think, like, I'm sure they said the Beatles had played there and like so many iconic artists had been in that space. But it was funny because we were just walking around for ages going, where on earth is this? And my German is okay, but not good enough to go, where is it? Like, specifically, where is it? Wo ist die Mojo Club, maybe. But at the time, we were just so lost and so confused going, I've no idea where we're meant to be.
Do you mean like the thing open it in front of you guys? Like,
Yeah, so it's like it's on mechanics and like lifts out the ground. So
right.
there's a metal plaque, maybe like 10 foot long, and we just thought it was like a tribute to whatever. It didn't really have anything on it, and then it lifted up like an hour before the doors were meant to open, and you had the staircase that went underneath it, and it was really cool to see. And like it was like in a film, you know, when like the smoke comes up and it opens. It was, yeah, it was cool to watch.
It make me think of some of the movie scenes, so a bit mysterious, like
Yeah, yeah, it
underground
was.
place.
It could have fit very nicely into a film.
Yeah, you so far share three funny travel experiences. I'm wondering if you have any other like experiences.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of them are probably quite boring because they relate to either football or music, and I appreciate that's all I've got. But like, I went to play in a tournament when I was like 16, 17 in Denmark, and this ties football and gigs together. I went to a tournament in Denmark and we were doing quite well and we were getting to the final and stuff. And then at the same time back in the UK, my favourite band announced an album launch like gig for the album they were releasing, and they were doing 4 gigs in a day. And I was like, oh, I can't miss that. And it was on the same day as the final in Denmark. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to choose. I'm gonna have to choose. And I didn't think we'd get to the final. I knew we were doing okay, and I didn't think we'd get to the final. So I was like, "Oh, Mum, is it like can I organise travel back to the UK without my team so that I can go and watch these 4 gigs in like a tiny venue in Leeds?" She's like, "Yeah, if you can do it, do it." And I managed to do it, and it meant that we didn't get to the final, so it was fine. But it meant I had to get like an Uber or equivalent at like 3 in the morning with people that I'd never met before at age 16 who took me to the Danish airport. And I got there, and it was the first time I'd flown by myself. Like, I'd flown by myself with football teams, but never by myself. And I had to go via Amsterdam. And I just remember, like, you know, when you're given freedom for the first time, it wasn't the first time, but it was the first time I'd been like, oh, wow. So I just walked around the airport for 2 hours and I tried on every pair of sunglasses in like the Ray-Bans shop in duty free. And they must have been looking at me going, she's never going to buy them. And I wasn't, I couldn't afford them, but I genuinely tried on every pair of sunglasses. And I got back to the UK, I landed at Leeds Bradford Airport. And I think I landed at a ridiculous time, like 6 in the morning. And then the gigs were all day that day. And that's the longest I think I've ever stayed awake because I'd done like 36 hours from the day before. After, like, played football, got an hour's sleep, went to the plane. And it was really intense. But then it was just amazing because it was like the adrenaline of playing football in a big competition, massive international competition, doing okay, getting to like the semi-finals, and then getting to see my favorite band. It was like the perfect 48 hours.
Your favorite band, was it the one you did the radio documentary that I
Yeah, yeah, I've been really fortunate that I've got to work with them in a couple of capacities, and it was 20 years of their debut album. So I got to make a documentary that started out as my university dissertation and then got commissioned nationally. So it was good fun to do. Yeah, I'm very grateful that I got that opportunity.
That's amazing. And when you were that young and then trying sunglasses, I could picturing like that was cute.
And you know how, like, obviously people have different shaped faces, so different glasses shapes suit different people.
Yeah.
Uh, and to this day, I credit that moment as knowing why I know what sunglasses suit my face. Because I had the experience of trying every pair of sunglasses under the sun on, and I came to the conclusion that the shape that fits my face most is the really small circular ones rather than any fancy ones, and I've stuck with that to this day.
That's nice. I feel like when people, when they are younger, like when they are young, like in their teens, they will just try and then don't feel, oh, are people staring at me trying sunglasses? But like now I am in my 20s, I feel like it's a bit weird for me, like trying sunglasses. Actually, to be honest, I don't even know what shapes suit me up till now.
I think it's hard, isn't it? Because I think we're so conscious of being judged by other people a lot of the time that we don't do the thing that we want to do. And I think it's so important. I mean, it's easier said than done, but it's so important just to go, "Ah, who cares what the people think? If I want to try on 300 pairs of sunglasses, I'm going to do it."
Yeah, that's true. The places, countries you have been to, you have traveled before, is there any specific place or country, cities you want to recommend to me and the listeners?
I mean, from recently, Sydney is out of this world. The culture, everyone's lovely, it's warm, it's nice, there's so much to do, and it's just like, it's so accessible as well. There's buses that go round in loops that go everywhere. And you've got the big things, you've got like the Sydney Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, you've got Bondi Beach, and then you've got like there's a big museum, big artwork museum that I went to that currently has like an AI installation on, which is quite fascinating. So I'd say there, and also like there's hostels, there's hotels, it's doable for every price range. But then like a bit closer to home, like I think if you can go around Europe, do it, because it's not just the places and the aesthetic of it, it's the people you meet. I have friends that I met when I toured around Europe just because we got talking, and then you learn about different cultures and different experiences, and hopefully you can requite that by giving them a bit of information about yourself. It's about connection for me. Like, I don't mind traveling by myself because I know I'm going to meet people on the way, and I know I'm going to connect with them in different capacities. So everyone goes, "Oh, do you not get like, is it not lonely? Is it not boring?" Same with gigs. Is it not like, do you not get bored going by yourself? And it's like, well, I'm not by myself because I know I'm going to meet some amazing people along the way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember recently I went solo traveling. I went to Budapest in Hungary, and then I was queuing for one of the famous pub in Budapest. And was queuing, the queue was really long. And actually, the day before I went, my hostel was nearby. And then I passed by and feel like, wow, the queue was too long. Let me try tomorrow. The next day I was queuing, and then there are two girls behind me, and then one of the girls say, "Hey, are you alone? Do you want to join us? We could share the table together." I then realized those two, they are also solo travelers. One from Italy, one from Georgia. Three of us learned a lot of different culture, and we just decided to go to New York Cafe, a different spot. Solo traveling, it depends, but for me, I don't feel lonely.
Like, it's different for everyone. Like, I quite like my own company. I'm quite happy by myself, and I think it's nice to be able to be with your own thoughts and be able to do that, because I think it's a skill. A lot of people are scared of being by themselves, understandably so, but to be able to just detract and go, yeah, I'm okay in my own skin, is quite nice. And then alongside that, you've got the social aspect where you can meet people, but it's on your terms and you're not obligated to be in situations for longer than you want to be.
Yeah. And it's quite flexible. Like you could decide to go out with this person you just met yesterday, or like just go out with those two girls I met, or you could decide to travel alone if you want to. It just feels so free and then flexible. I feel that's the best part of solo traveling.
Yeah, absolutely. That freedom is second to none.
Is there any places, countries, or like cities you haven't been to before, but you really want to go there in the future?
Yeah, so like when I travel on holiday, I don't really like relaxing. I find it quite hard just to switch off. But the one place that I think I'd really like to go and switch off would be in the Caribbean. Specifically, I don't know if you've ever seen them online. They have like shacks that are built into the sea where you have like hammocks over the water and like slides in, and it just looks so peaceful. So I guess the Caribbean, maybe like the Maldives, or somewhere that's really hot, quite somewhere quite isolated, I think. That's always appealed to me. Somewhere like, I love going to beaches where the sea's blue or like transparent and you can really see how clean it is, and like in the films and stuff. So definitely there. Um I've never been to Portugal, and I'd quite like to see a bit of Portugal just to tick it off my Europe list. But if I could, like, I'm going to bring it back to music. If I could go and see gigs anywhere, I'd love to go and see gigs in America, because like I've seen gigs in the UK, I've seen gigs in Europe, I've seen them in Australia now, I've seen them, across the Middle East, but I'd love to go and see what the atmosphere is like across the water.
Right. I imagine that would be great. Before I came to UK, I feel like it's always like in my bucket list. I haven't really done it before. I always want to go to either Glastonbury or like Coachella Festival,
Yeah,
but
yeah, some of
I
the
never
biggies.
been either of them.
I think it's very hard to get tickets as well. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, the UK has some magical festivals, some amazing ones. Over the years, I've been to loads, been to like, Kendall Calling, Boardmasters. There's so many different types, but the weather is always rubbish. Like, you can never guarantee that it's going to be sunny. Whereas the appeal of going to one abroad is like, it's definitely going to be warm. It'll be nice. The one I went to in April, it was like 35 degrees and it was gorgeous. Like, you just go in shorts and a t-shirt and enjoy it. And yeah, the weather's a big factor for me.
Right. I feel that's really cool. Like you talk about football, and then you love going gigs, concerts, and festivals. I feel that's amazing.
Gigs for me are so important because I think it's the one place I can switch my brain off. Because like, life is so busy, and obviously your brain never, well, my brain never stops. Whereas when I'm at a gig and I know the music, and it's just such like a safe space to for your brain just to stop and jump around with your friends and meet people. And I think tying that in with traveling is just such an exciting experience.
What music genre is your favorite?
Uh, 2000s indie rock, but I'll listen to anything. I love bands from like the noughties, a bit more modern stuff as well, but that's like the 90s noughties era is my favorite.
Right. I love indie music a lot. Before I came to UK, I just feel like I want to go to as many gigs as possible. So the first week in my master's degree back in Nottingham, the first week I went to there's a BBC introducing gig in Metronome, like music venue place. I feel the atmosphere was so amazing. I just really enjoy like being in a crowd and then listening to live music. Yeah, I feel gigs and festivals, I feel like it's definitely, I really want to go there, go for it as many as possible as well. So,
Yeah, I'd highly recommend going. I know some of them are expensive, but even if you can go for a day, it's such good atmosphere and you meet people or you can go with friends to have a great time. And the great thing about festivals is there's always going to be someone you like. Like you're going to have so many different genres and so many different artists, but there's always going to be one person you go, oh, I'd really like to see them.
I feel like London, there are much more gigs and like festivals or like performances, you were saying. I feel London is a lot.
Yeah, it's so busy, and that's the thing I love about London. I only moved here a couple of months ago, and it's a lot bigger than anywhere I've lived before. It's a massive city, but there's always something on the go. And whether it's like a local gig down the road at the local pub or at the O2 Arena or Wembley, there's so much going on, and it's so busy and vibrant, and you can engage with it as much as you want to. And I think that's perfect because the opportunities are endless.
I'm wondering if you have any other funny travel experiences.
I'm trying to think. I mean, the thing is, like, I do things quite intensely. Like, in 2020, I went to like 8 European cities in 9 days for gigs. So I went to Hamburg, then Amsterdam, then Utrecht, then Cologne, then Brussels, then somewhere else in Germany, and then Dublin. And a lot of that's like overnight buses and just really intense short bursts of travel. And I really like that adrenaline pumping side of it. So I don't know, it's not really funny, but it's like, I think some people go, oh, why don't you take a holiday and do it, like spend more time in those locations? And I'm like, I'd rather just do it punchy. I'd rather go bum, 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 than spend all the time going, oh, I might do that today, or I might do that. I'd rather just do it quickly and pack everything in.
When I travel, I don't do overnight buses a lot, but I feel that's really wise. Like you could not only travel to different place, at the same time you also save the cost for like accommodation. Like you
Yeah,
save money as
absolutely.
well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like some of it's turned out okay. Like we went from Hamburg to Amsterdam overnight and we arrived at Amsterdam at like 5 in the morning and couldn't get into the hotel we were staying at till 3 in the afternoon. So you end up just like walking around and exploring and we spent so long in Amsterdam getting lost. And sometimes the best thing to do is get lost because you discover so many magical places and you end up like down canals you didn't know existed. And we were so tired, but it was so good because our bodies were just carrying us like wherever we wanted to go. And then the gig that night was in like a converted church. So it had like stained glass windows and the light bounced off it, and it was impeccable to see. I think sometimes the best things happen when you least expect it or when you're not trying for it to happen.
Right. I feel like some of the most memorable things during traveling, I feel, is those unexpected things happen and unplanned things as well. And yeah, so towards the end of this episode, I really appreciate you really share a lot of funny travel experiences. And I think those are amazing, that those brilliant stories you share. So I really appreciate your time and I really appreciate you spend your time and talk to me and the listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.